What if some of the most dangerous places for viral exposure are locations most people never think about? Not crowded airports, not massive cities, not hospitals, but quiet places, dusty places, abandoned places, places that look completely harmless at first glance. What are some of the things you're curious about regarding hantavirus, both globally and in our country? Follow this channel, because when it comes to hantavirus, danger is often connected to environments people normally ignore. And that is exactly what makes the virus so unsettling. Hantavirus is commonly linked to rodents. Rats and mice are considered the primary carriers. Humans are usually exposed after contact with contaminated urine, saliva, or droppings. But what many people do not realize is that direct contact with rodents is not always necessary. Sometimes simply breathing contaminated particles in the air may be enough, especially inside closed or dusty environments. That is one of the reasons scientists continue warning people about specific high-risk locations connected to hantavirus exposure. One of the most dangerous places is abandoned cabins, especially cabins left unused for long periods of time. When humans leave buildings empty, rodents often move in quietly. Over time, contaminated droppings and nesting material can accumulate inside hidden corners. Then, months later, someone enters the cabin, opens windows, sweeps the floor, or cleans dusty areas, and suddenly contaminated particles become airborne, invisible, floating through the air. That moment of exposure may happen without the person realizing anything dangerous occurred, and that is exactly what makes these environments so concerning. Another high-risk location is old garages and storage buildings. Places filled with boxes, unused furniture, tools, or forgotten materials create ideal hiding areas for rodents. Many people enter these spaces without protective equipment. They move old objects, clean dusty surfaces, disturb rodent nests accidentally, and in some cases, that may increase exposure risk significantly. What makes these situations psychologically frightening is how ordinary they appear. Cleaning a garage does not feel dangerous. Opening an old storage room does not seem life-threatening. Yet scientists know these environments can sometimes contain invisible biological risks. Basements are another environment experts frequently mention, especially dark, poorly ventilated basements where rodent activity may go unnoticed for long periods. Rodents often move through hidden spaces inside walls, ceilings, and storage areas. And because many basements remain undisturbed for months, contaminated dust can accumulate slowly over time. That is why experts recommend caution when entering spaces with signs of rodent activity. Cabins and storage buildings are not the only concerns. Rural environments can also increase exposure risk. Farms, barns, animal feed storage areas. These locations may attract large rodent populations searching for food and shelter. And where rodents gather, the possibility of exposure increases. This is one reason certain hantavirus outbreaks have historically appeared more often in rural areas connected to wildlife and rodent activity. Another dangerous situation involves cleaning heavily contaminated spaces incorrectly. Many people instinctively vacuum rodent droppings immediately, but disturbing contaminated material aggressively may push dangerous particles into the air. That airborne exposure is exactly what experts try to prevent. This is why health organizations often recommend careful cleaning methods in areas with rodent contamination. What makes hantavirus especially frightening is that exposure may happen silently. A person may feel completely normal at first. Nothing dramatic happens immediately. No instant warning sign appears. Then days later, symptoms begin. Usually the infection starts quietly. Fever, muscle pain, headaches, fatigue. Symptoms easy to mistake for the flu. That is why many infected people initially ignore the warning signs completely. But in severe cases, the virus may begin affecting the lungs rapidly. Breathing becomes difficult. Chest tightness appears. Oxygen levels can fall dangerously low. And once severe respiratory symptoms begin, the condition can worsen extremely fast. That progression is exactly why scientists continue monitoring hantavirus carefully around the world. Not because it currently spreads globally between humans like COVID-19, but because severe infections can become life-threatening very quickly. Another reason experts pay close attention to exposure environments is because the modern world continues changing rapidly. Climate changes affect wildlife behavior. Human populations continue expanding into natural habitats. Urban areas spread into regions previously dominated by wildlife, and interactions between humans and disease-carrying animals happen more frequently than before. Scientists understand that future outbreaks may emerge in places people least expect. That is why environmental awareness matters so much. Most people imagine dangerous viruses as something distant, something connected to laboratories or massive outbreaks. But hantavirus reminds humanity of something deeply unsettling. Sometimes danger exists in quiet, forgotten places. An abandoned cabin, a dusty garage, a dark basement. Places that seem completely ordinary until something invisible turns them dangerous. That idea creates powerful psychological fear, especially after COVID-19 changed how humanity reacts to outbreaks forever. Now, every unusual infection creates anxiety online. Every mysterious virus spreads through headlines rapidly. And every dangerous disease raises the same terrifying question. Could this happen again on a larger scale? That fear keeps hantavirus in global conversations even today, because the virus represents something people cannot easily see or control. Invisible exposure, silent infection, and symptoms that may appear harmless until the lungs become affected. Now, it is important to understand something clearly. Hantavirus does not currently spread between humans the same way COVID-19 spread. For most strains, human-to-human transmission remains extremely rare, and that is one reason experts do not currently consider it a major pandemic-level threat. But severe infections remain medically dangerous, and scientists continue studying the virus carefully because environmental exposure risks still exist around the world. That is why awareness matters, preparation matters, and understanding dangerous exposure environments matters. Because sometimes the greatest threats are hidden inside places people never think twice about entering. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and turn on notifications for more videos about deadly viruses, medical mysteries, and scientific dangers hidden around the world. Because invisible threats are often the ones humanity underestimates the most.